against a challenged freshman congressman who is under criminal investigation. I'm very proud who has publicly endorsed our campaign for Congress, and that begins with Patrick Kennedy, the former Congressman, Ted Kennedy's son, the former chairman of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, and of course, Florida's greatest living Democrat, Bob Grant, the former senator, former governor, Congresswoman Gwen Ray, Congressman Patrick Murphy, even former Miami Beach Mayor Philippe. I could go on, but that is not really what it's all about, is it? It's not about who endorsed you. It's about why you're running. And if a candidate has not come before you and laid out why they are passionately pursuing this job, walk away. I know exactly why I'm running. Because Patty and I are middle-class residents of this community. We have raised two beautiful children in the public schools. We've lived the ups and downs of an economy that does not work for middle-class Americans. And we have held our breaths every time we've gotten a robocall from the school that there may be a gun. You know what? I want to do something and make this community a better place. It's something I've been doing for 30 years, whether it is uncovering that a defense contractor was allowing effective parts to get on Black Hawk helicopters. Employees of this company snuck out documents to prove that to me. Saved the life of a Vietnam veteran who was eating out of a trash can in Miami because he could not get VA benefits, because he could not prove that his PTSD was the result of combat, until I came along, tracked down his commanding officer, and changed the 30-year decision. I have had the backs of families in this congressional district every time they've been taken advantage of by companies trying to rip off consumers, and I have been a person who has spoken truth to power. That's why I'm running, and that's why I'm so pleased that we have this opportunity. This is, as Kristen said, one of the most important elections of our lifetime, and this congressional district is the key to winning Florida for Joe Biden, and of course, if you can't win Florida, you can't win the White House. So I look forward to answering your questions tonight. And I look forward to running against Ross Spano in the fall. And it's going to be a great campaign against a scandal-plagued congressman versus an investigative journalist who has made a living in terms of bringing people like that to justice.
Thank you. Ellen, Jesse, you're up.
Thank you, Kristen. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Kristen. I appreciate it. And thank you, Alan, for going for it first. I just want to say that I'm a political newcomer. I don't have a lot of endorsements. I got in this race for one simple purpose. I've been a part of the community. I've been here for 20 years. I went to school at King High School. That's in Hillsborough County, and there I played running back. When I left school, I decided to join the Marines because I wanted to give back to my country. So I served 6 years in the Marine Corps. And while I was in the Marine Corps, I did a tour in Iraq. I walked the grounds of Iraq. I saw the poverty. I saw sick children. I've seen struggle when I was there. And it made me cherish the fact that I was American. It made me cherish the fact that I got to live a life, a prosperous life, just because, America gave me a shot. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to join, to Congress, so I can continue that dream for other people. For me, once I got back from the military and my service, I decided to work in the private sector for a number of years. There, I worked in telecommunication at Verizon. I was part of one of the big pushes to bring fiber optics into all the surrounding areas in Lakeland and Hillsborough County. There I contributed about $1 million in revenue for the company. So one of the things that I realized when I was there was that there was a lot of infrastructure issues that was plaguing those cities, and it prevented Verizon from continuing to build out fiber optics. So that's one of the biggest issues that I saw was that we had a bad infrastructure area in the Eastern Hillsborough, Plant City, Lakeland area, and we need to build on that. Another reason I decided to get in this race is because when I decided that I was tired of doing private sector work and I wanted to give back to my community, I decided to go to law school. Now, when I went to law school, I decided to do public service work. So while I was in law school, I worked in the Department of Revenue, where I worked with families who needed support from the government. And there, I learned firsthand how much government assistance can help single mothers and people who are struggling with basic income, basic needs such as Social Security. I mean, the average American right now has about $1,200 in Social Security they bring in a month. And I don't know if you got the recent stimulus check. That's not enough. And we have to go farther. We have to continue to push legislation that we make sure that we fund our Social Security and add to it. And one of the last things that I did was also work in the Department of Children and Families. And that where I got to see children who were abused at home. And when that was very passionate about making sure that we did something to make sure that we prevented children from being abused, human trafficking, when I worked at the Department of Children and Families. I also worked at the state attorney's office, so I got to see the criminal justice system and how it was affecting many minorities, many people who are less fortunate than the average American. And so that all these different things in law school and my private sector life and my military service led me to one thing. We have to bring the community back to Congress. It's great to be a politician. A lot of people, they come every 2 years, 4 years, tell you that we're going to make a difference. But I've lived in this community. I haven't seen a difference in the past 20, 30 years. That's one of the reasons why I joined this I decided to do this campaign, because I believe that we need to make a change. Right now, we have 14% of minorities in the District 15. We have roughly about 22% that are Hispanics. That's about 37% of the demographics here are minority based. They haven't came out in the previous years. And the reason why is because we're not talking to them about what are the issues that affect them. What are some of the issues that we can do to address some of those negative things that have been happening in their lives for the past 20, 30 years. So my candidacy is different. I'm a community guy. My team is about 20 volunteers. I'm not rich. My fundraising numbers are not going to be out the door. Sorry. It's not going to be that. What we're going to do is we're going to keep bringing people who believe in one common thing, and that's community, and that's people who believe in that, hey, guess what? We're going to fight back our Congress to make sure that they represent us. So I want to thank you guys for giving me an opportunity. I'm looking forward to talk about a lot of my policy proposals that I have for the women movement, and I'm really excited, and I want to thank you guys, and I appreciate you giving me an opportunity. And with that being said, I'll pass it over to Adam. Thank you.
Go for it, Adam.
Great. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I am a state representative, and I currently represent Florida House District. I've actually come out and spoken to this group before, so I'm not going to do the standard again. You guys already heard it. Already told you what I stand for, and I've been literal dozens of current elected officials who endorse me. Instead, I want you to get to know me a little bit better, where I come from, and plan the clear choice to be Boston. So some of you may not know this, but I actually grew up in Littleton, Colorado, home of Columbine High School. I was actually already in college now. I didn't go to Columbine University, but I did have some friends there. After high school, I went to the University of Michigan, and I competed on the men's gymnastics team. In fact, we're the 1999 NCAA team national champion. And if any of you have kids in sports, you'll know the kind of training and dedication kind of thing. The early practice and how it. Anyway, I graduated with a bachelor's and master's degrees in aerospace and engineering, so rocket science. I've always used science and data to guide my decision. And this technical curiosity then led me to join the United States Navy. I was a nuclear submarine officer. I was commissioned in August 2001, about 3 weeks before September. I ended up spending just under 8 years in the Navy, free on a fast attack nuclear submarine out of Pearl Harbor. In fact, actually, during my first retired the very first missile that we built for. After my time on the boat, I did a year-long combat tour in Iraq with an Army unit. The second half of my tour was a surge. I was about 30 miles away when Saddam Hussein was executed with over 200 combat. After coming home from the Middle East, I taught electrical engineering at the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis to the next generation of military men. I finished my service and then in 2009, I joined the subsidiary. I've been living right here in the district ever since. And by the way, during all this, I've also been a judge for men's gymnastics for almost 25 years, and now I'm one of the few internationally certified judges in the United States. I've represented the U.S. at fencing competitions on 4 continents. I even worked with the Olympic team before the Rio Games. I'm actually also a member of the Selective Service Board here in Florida. In early 2016, my wife and I, we started our own small business and we work on it. Some of you know a little bit about what happened later on. In 2018, something a little unexpected happened. There was a radical anti-LGBTQ politician wanting to be my state representative, and there was no Democrat in the race. My wife, Christy, and I started getting calls asking me if I would run to give our district a better option. You know, I thought about my service in the Navy and in Iraq, and I felt like I was being called to serve again. So I decided to run. And with the help of an amazing team, all the clubs and caucuses in Hillsborough and many across the state, including the Democratic Women's Club of Florida, and with the support of the Hillsborough Democratic Party, we won. We flipped an R+9 seat by 12 points. And just so you know, by the way, the seat that I flipped was Ross Spano's old state house. And serving as the representative of Christian is actually one of the greatest privileges of my life. And not just the time I spent in Tallahassee, but the time we spent year-round working with constituents, charities, and but then as you all know, and Alan mentioned it last year, reports came out that Ross Spano had likely violated election law in his 2018 race. And he was coming out under ethics and now criminal investigation. I was actually planning on running for re-election to the board after talking with Kristen Carlson and learning and being contacted dozens of current members of Congress. I understood that this is our best shot to flip the seat. And as the only Democrat to win an election here in about 20 years, I'm not shocked. So just like I answered the call to serve in the Navy, the call to serve in Iraq, the call to serve in the Florida House, I'm answering this call again to serve. When Democrats work together as a team, we win. And it's never been more important than now to heal the country. This is our chance to flip this seat, and I'm excited to have you join my team. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. I had sent the candidates a couple questions, and I'm hoping they all got them, but we'll keep the same order. Alan, the question is, and I'm kind of making this Florida 15 centric, if you don't mind, as opposed to national policy that doesn't affect necessarily District 15, but what committees do you hope to get on, and what qualifications do you bring to those particular committees, and why those choices? And I was asked that question a number of times, and over the course of the campaign, I changed my mind what were priorities for 15. So we'd be curious as to what committees you'd like to get on and why.
Well, there are a couple of them, Kristen, and thank you for the question. Other than oversight and reform, because somebody has got to keep an eye on whatever administration is in office. And that is what I've done my entire career. I told you about that I uncovered the dirty dealings with Jim Norman, the Hillsborough County Commissioner who was trying to run for the state Senate and took $500,000 from a wealthy businessman to buy a vacation home. And my first investigative story that launched my career was going after a district attorney who had an inappropriate relationship with organized crime. So, people become so cynical about politics and politicians. We need to hold them accountable. Look, just a couple of weeks ago, 2 United States senators we discovered dumped their stocks right before the markets tanked. They had gotten classified briefings, so they knew that the economic troubles were coming. But also, there are other committees that I hope to serve on. One is armed services, because after all, as I said, I'm the guy who uncovered that defective parts were getting on Black Hawk helicopters, and then here in a company that is in both Tampa and Orlando that was making rocket-propelled grenades. They had a defective fuse in it. And we uncovered that, and we actually went to New Jersey to the military base where the Army admitted that it had a problem. The fact is, we spend billions and billions of dollars on our military every year, and providing weapons that sometimes the military doesn't even want. We have a requirement by taxpayers to make sure that that money is spent well and efficiently. And one other committee is in terms of health, because that is one of the central themes of what I want to focus on in the Congress. Because as we all know, the health insurance is, even if you get it, your employer is becoming unaffordable to use. Most plans have $4,000 to $6,000 deductibles, which means families like mine and yours have to make a decision before they send their kid to the doctor, or to go to the doctor
saying, as someone who served
yourself. And as we're living in the age of COVID, this is something that is going to bankrupt American families. We have to find a better way to provide affordable health care to all Americans. And that's where my energies are to be going to.
Thank you, Ellen. I'm gonna go wild here and mix up the order. Adam, why don't you go next? Not you, Jesse, Adam.
Okay.
And tell us what committees you'd like to bring beyond why you want to be on those committees, and what expertise or qualities do you think you would bring to the committee? Because I understand they actually look at your resume before they make committee selections.
Well, I'm a small business owner, and I believe it's critical that we have someone from Florida on the House Committee on small business who understands the needs of small businesses, and will fight for them instead of big corporations. Actually, right now, there's only one Florida congressman on that committee, and after I beat Ross Van in November, there'll be a vacancy. I also think it's important to serve on committees that represent the needs of our district. And agriculture is a huge part of the economy here in the Florida 15, which I've discussed with Nikki Freed during town hall a couple of weeks ago. And being able to connect to the people in your district and fight for what they need is critical. So that's another committee that I'd like to serve on. Actually, in the Florida House, since the Democrats are in the minority, I didn't really have the option to pick my committees. You kind of just get what they give you. My first session, I was actually assigned to criminal justice, transportation infrastructure, state affairs committee, and gaming control, which is really a wide range of issues. And what it taught me was the importance of recognizing that you can't be an expert in everything. And if somebody tells you they are, they're lying to you. That's why our office has always had an open door policy. We take meetings with anyone who requests one. Doesn't matter if I agree with you or not. Everybody. We would often have back-to-back meetings from 8 in the morning until 6 at night, with 2 to 3 minutes in between those meetings. And the other representatives will look at us like crazy, but we did that so we could hear from the experts, weigh all views, and then make decisions based on information and data, not just partisanship. And someone who has experience serving on these committees and understands how they work, that's something that I'm going to be bringing to the table.
Thank you. Jesse, what committees, why, and what are your qualifications to serve on that committee?
All right, thank you so much. So, like you said, it's all about a resume. So for me, I told you earlier that I spent my time at Verizon, working on make sure we build out fiber optics in the rural areas. One of the crucial things that prevented us from doing that was infrastructure. So I think that the first committee I want to get on is our infrastructure committee that addresses that. Because you're correct, District 15, there was a time, agriculture is big, but we need to move to more of a modern approach and understand that we need to build out lights, we need to build roads, we need to build infrastructure to bring in more people to have a more robust economy in the District 15 area. And for me, I think I have the experience working in a Fortune 500 company, bringing in millions to them to understand what it takes to build out infrastructure to make sure that businesses come into the district and provide more jobs, because it's one universal thing. We have 40 million people unemployed. So for me, the most crucial thing is to get jobs in there and fix our environment. So one of the biggest committees I would love to join is the Infrastructure Committee. The second committee I think is important is the Ways and Means Committee. This is important because most of our seniors have bringing, like I said, $1,200 a month. That's not feasible. Most people can't live off that. President Trump, wrote his name on the check and gave everyone $1,200 a month. But guess what? It's already out. There's people struggling. I went to Walmart the other day, and guess what? I couldn't even find ramen noodles. 78 cents pack of ramen noodles, because so many people are eating that because they don't have the means, because they're struggling. So I believe Ways and Means Committee is a way to help, and I believe that should be my focus. And the third and final committee is the Judicial Committee. That committee is, right now, the way the Republicans are leading it, they're putting so many anti-abortion judges into our I'm so upset about it. Our judicial system, that it is ridiculous. We have to get judges who understand progressive agendas, such as fixing laws that it doesn't discriminate against abortion, it doesn't discriminate against women. So those are the three committees I think that I belong in Congress, because those are the three committees that I believe help the district. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Jesse, I'm going to let you start with the next question.
Of course.
You kind of touched upon some of these issues, but let's think about District 15, and what do you believe are you can pick one or the other or both, but what do you think in 2 minutes are the most important infrastructure or environmental needs in District 15, and how would you address them? What are your solutions?
Okay, I'll do one better. I'll make it a one. We need to do both. So how you do that is you build your infrastructure based on the environment, and it's so possible. Imagine having a high-speed rail, which we almost had in Florida, connecting Pinellas, Polk, Hillsborough, and Orange County. That would reduce our carbon footprint by a ton. And the second thing we could do is we can have more ride sharings. We can invest more in electrical cars. I want to propose in Congress a bill to give more tax credits for people who decide to buy electric cars. Because what's happening right now, electric cars are in a range between $35,000 to $40,000. An average American can't afford a car like that. What we need to do is give more tax incentives so that middle-class people can buy electric cars and get the threshold from $34,000 to $40,000 back down to $20,000 to $25,000. A car price that most Americans can afford. And the last thing I think that we need to focus on is investing in solar panels in our homes. Imagine how much it will reduce and save us so much energy and takes off fossil fuel if we just build solar panels. And that's going to also be done with the credit, essentially incentivizing Americans to put solar panels in their home so we can reduce our fossil fuel and we can reduce our carbon footprint and we can protect our environment and build a 21st century infrastructure system that focuses on the environment and bringing jobs and a robust economy to District 15. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Alan, biggest infrastructure environmental needs for D15, and how would you address them?
And that is a great question. Really, two, and I'm going to stick to the environment. Number one, we have a problem with those gypsum stacks from the phosphate industry, which are all over Polk County and Hillsborough County and Central Florida, for that matter. And the fact of the matter is that the EPA has been decimated under this president with the rollback of regulations. We need to codify those regulations and quit starving the EPA because those are ticking time bombs, as I mentioned. But you know what? Jesse had it right about solar power and rebates. I was talking yesterday because I'm honored to be endorsed in this race by Terry Root, who I don't know if you know who she is. She lives in Florida. She won the Nobel Peace Prize with Al Gore for their work on climate change. She's not only supporting my campaign, she's advising. And the fact is, climate change, yes, is a global industry, but it's incredibly important to the 15th Congressional District. because we depend on agriculture. And whether you're talking about strawberries or citrus, we have problems with the aquifer getting lower and lower. And Jesse Bushman, not only tax incentives for people to put solar panels on their roofs, but tax rebates. We are, after all, the Sunshine State. And the I-4 corridor used to be the national manufacturing center of solar panels in the U.S. until Ronald Reagan did away with those tax breaks. And let's also be clear about something, because Florida Power and Light wants to build these huge solar fields around the state to provide solar energy. Well, there's no need to basically rape the environment and to build these huge fields and ruin the habitat. They should be able to go on people's homes and also, yes, go to electric cars, provide the tax incentives and rebates for that, and also the wind industry. We have, especially if you watch local politics, a lot of wind in our area. We should be providing tax incentive rebates so we can develop the wind industry, and that's how you finally deal with climate change.
Great, thank you. Adam?
Well, one of the pillars of my campaign has been combating climate change, because also when I introduced the Florida Endangered Species Act to Florida. But I want to talk a little bit more about something very specific to District 15. One of the biggest infrastructure problems in the 15th that we faced for over a decade, especially in Polk County, has become even more clear during this pandemic, is the lack of access. A study done a few years ago ranked Polk County in the bottom 25 counties in the country to access to high-speed internet, and the bottom 10 in the country for households with broadband. Now, internet access, it's not a luxury anymore. K-12 schools and universities are expecting their students to continue their studies from home, and employers are asking their workers to work from home. COVID-19 has made that what many of us have known for a while, which is that internet access needs to be treated as a public utility, not as a product. This is something everyone can appreciate, even if you have internet access. Most of us have only maybe 2 options for internet providers, and in many places there's really only one option. The infrastructure necessary to provide high-speed internet is prohibitive to competition. So this is a challenge that needs to be addressed at the federal level. We need to reinstate net neutrality and look at changing regulations around internet providers to make access to broadband more affordable to more families and function more like the public utility.
Very good, thank you. Okay, this is time for the Lakeland Democratic Women's Club to ask questions of these candidates. And in order to stay on schedule, I think we can only, we'll see how windy they are, but you can either ask them to all 3 and put a time limit, or ask one candidate a question. So we'll open the floor. So unmute yourself if you care to ask a question. And jump in.
Hi, this is Stephanie Yoakum. I had a question for Mr. Cohen. I was looking at all 3 of your websites tonight and earlier, and Adam and Jesse have specific that they are wanting to focus on. When I was looking at your website, I see a lot of your background, and you talked tonight about healthcare, but I really didn't see, your key focuses that you would really like to bring to the forefront from District 15. So what are your, 3 main focuses that you would like to take to Washington?
Well, thank you very much for the question. It's something that I talk about every time I've been out in the community and moving forward in forums like this. Number one, and specific to the times that we live in, Lord knows, given what is happening in terms of the lateness of the response to the pandemic, the lateness of the testing, moving to dump their stock where the market's tank. There's one thing that should be absolutely obvious to all of us. We need more than one investigative reporter in the United States Congress who will take these issues on, not only uncover them, but speak out and be an advocate when you see something that is wrong. I'll give you an example. You have an automatic no. When I'm serving in Congress, Congress next January, that no vote becomes a yes.
All right, thank you, Alan.
And Emily has her hand up.
No, we've got to hear from Adam and Jesse. One minute answers, please, gentlemen.
Sorry.
I think that as Democrats, that community that they all experience and background to be able to fight for that in a really appropriate and really effective manner is what's going to be important. I carried 2 firearms a day every day for a year. I've seen firsthand what these weapons can do to people. And in fact, I'm the only ground combat veteran in the entire Florida legislature. And I used that experience when I argued very strongly against arming school teachers in the 2019 legislative session. Now, we're in a vast minority in Tallahassee. And even though we got statewide and national press coverage for that, there were, just like Alan said, there were 73 automatic yeses on that. Actually, ended up being 67. That voted for that simply because of the numbers. But we have the numbers in DC, at least in that House, and we are that firewall to stop some of these progressive and more appropriate regulations back in place. So yes, we absolutely have to close the gun show loopholes, ensure you final back on all firearm purchases, ban high capacity magazines, silencers, and really be ready to take action, and not just be ready to do it, but have the experience and background that when you talk about it, people actually listen and understand that you do know what you're doing.
Thank you, Adam. Jesse, what's your position on the reinstituting the ban on commercial production and sale of semi-automatic weapons, assault weapons, and large capacity magazines?
To answer the question, it's I'm definitely would do that. I mean, I just want to tell Visio one of my personal stories. When I was in high school, we had gun violence. One of my best friends was shot and died. So I understand the importance of getting this done. I went to high school that there were gang violence and there were things that happened in our high school and people died. So I'm the first person that can tell you that when I get to Congress, that is the thing that I will fight for the most, because that touched my life personally. So to answer your question, I 100% will fight to make sure that assault weapons are banned throughout our country, and also that we have the mental health component in our schools to help our students to deal with this crisis and to deal with the problems at our home. So yes, to answer your question.
Thank you. Do you see any other hands up?
Yes, there's 2 more hands up, Emily and Howard, and then Jillian also had a question, but we kind of need to wrap up.
Yeah, all right, so let's take the next 2 and 1 minute answers, please.
Hi, I'm sneaking in from Emily. This is Andy Crossfield. And I've got a question. Assuming you're able to win the primary, what are your strategies to win over the NPA or the independent voter vote?
Good question.
To who though? Who was the question for? All of us?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
1 minute, please.
Okay, I guess I'll start it. I alluded to this earlier. 22% of our district is Hispanic. 14% of it's African American. One of the things that I found that we need to do is to do more voter outreach to those groups, because I believe those groups are underrepresented. I mean, Polk County has been doing a great job of signing up a lot of people in this next election, and we need to continue to do that. And how we get the NPAs to come over to the Democratic side is by telling one clear message. What have Congress done in the last 4 or 5 years to help you? We came out with a tax plan, but that didn't help you. The COVID-19, essentially, the COVID-19 response didn't help. We gutted our healthcare system. We can't effectively respond. I believe the way you convince people to vote for you is by being honest and telling them the truth, and tell them, has your life changed in these past 4 years? Or has the rich have gotten richer and the middle class is still struggling? That's how we get MPAs to cross over. There's no other message. We don't have to, say, hey, Republicans are being bad. We just have to show them that, hey, guess what? This is the reality of your life right now. We are the Democrats. We've always been about the middle class. We've always been progressive, and we will continue to fight that message so that more people have a leg up in this society. So that's my message to the MPAs, and I believe that will get them out there.
Thank you.
I'm not going to go too in depth. I don't want to reveal too much campaign strategy. But about 30% of the district is NPA. And let's be honest, the past several elections it was slightly to the right. Now, as a veteran, as a small business owner, as someone who lives right here in the district, we've already got an advantage over everybody else to start vending those NPAs, especially if they have a little bit higher votes after the 2016 election and the 2018. Not only that, we all know, unfortunately, that the larger NPAs are likely lean to the right. So it's beneficial that I've also been endorsed by Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy, the entire Blue Dog coalition, the more fiscally centrist, fiscally conservative, but social liberal version of the Democratic Party gets to prove that is the main NPA voter in the Florida 15th. Once the primary is over, all the Dems are going to come and vote with us. It's going to be similar to Jesse said, about voter turnout. That's why State Senator Janet Cruz, State Senator Victor Flores, and Alma Gonzalez, the DNC member, have already committed to help me get the Hispanic vote and get them out here in the 15th. So it's really going to be targeting that NPA vote. So not only that, I could also mention some things about going after some of the Republican side, especially the politics of Republican women, but we'll leave that for another time.
Thanks, Adam. Alan?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, the Blue Dogs. The Blue Dogs are the reason why President Obama could not get the Affordable Care Act passed in the way that it would have been the most effective. The Blue Dogs were also the reason why back in 2008, the stimulus after the Great Recession and the economic collapse was not as robust as it needed to be to actually turn around the country and the economy faster. So, I don't know if that is an argument that is going to help middle-class families in this congressional district in the ways that we need to help them. Now, the bottom line is, how do we win? And Andy, that was a terrific question, and it's so great to see you again. Number one, this election in November is going to be partly a referendum on Ross Stamp. And, he had admitted to taking these illegal campaign loans. And it's going to be a contest between somebody who is so embroiled in scandal that they're not doing much for anyone in this congressional district, and somebody who has not only called out and brought political corruption to justice, but also has spoken to truth to power for over 30 years. How do you win the MPAs in this congressional district? You talk about who you are. You talk about your values. And as I have said, and I'll say it again, Patty and I are middle-class members of this community. We know what it's like to raise 2 children in this community, and to deal with the public schools, and to deal with the ups and downs of an economy that too many people, whether you are a Democrat, or Republican, or independent.
Alan, we're gonna getting over your 1 minute answer. We're gonna do wrap-ups. So you were kind of heading into your 1 minute wrap-up. So why don't you finish your sentence and say goodbye?
Thank you very much, and thank you all for joining us tonight. This was a look event, and it's really important. And the fact is, I've put since the beginning of this epidemic, we can't meet in person for the time being, but it means that we're never alone. We can meet in venues like this. I am so excited about the months to come and what we're going to do once we get to Washington. For over 30 years, I have used investigative journalism to improve the lives of people in this community and this state and this nation. And I have been driven to run for Congress because I not only want to make life better for my family, but also for yours, for the children who are growing up into an uncertain economic environment. Sometimes it's somebody who has seen the economy from the inside and the outside, from the ups and downs, to understand what so many families in this area are going through. And I back that up, as I said, with 40 years of investigative journalism, bringing change to this community and this country. That's how we are going to win this week. A friend of mine who is a pastor in our community says, the way you win the independents and FBAs, talk about the values. If anything that I hope that you got out of this conversation tonight is learning a little bit more about what my values are, what I intend to be to the United States.
Thank you, Alan. Adam?
Oh, well, thank you again for having me tonight. Our district, our state, our country are really facing perhaps the greatest challenge that we've seen since World War II. We need leaders who are ready to put politics aside and put country before party and work on behalf of their constituents. That's what I've already done in the Florida House and what I'll continue to do. Just look at the candidates who delivered us a House majority by flipping Trump districts in 2018. They were veterans and public servants under the age of 50. And I think there's a reason for it. People are looking for a new generation of leadership from people with a proven record of service. And we can't make some of these changes unless we win. And that's what I bring to this race, and that's why I know that, especially with your help, we can give Ross Van a lot. We can give his own personal stay-at-home order and Thanks.
All right, thanks. And Jesse, you can take it home.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you guys for giving me an opportunity to speak tonight. Like I said, it's an honor to be here with these two great men and this organization who's been here for years and champion democratic policies. For me, why am I the best guy? I get to speak to the people on my staff. We have about 20 volunteers from all different backgrounds. We've been a campaign about the community. Polk, Hillsborough, even Lake County, all have the same message. We want a Congress who represents us. We don't want a Congress that is spending so much time talking about all these rhetoric things, but they're not talking about the problems that I'm having. They're not talking about the senior citizen who's facing with $1,200 a month trying to survive. They're not talking about the student loan debts that are ravaging our youth. They're not even talking about the middle class who are being taxed and don't understand where their taxes are going. We have to have a conversation about bringing common sense, strategic solutions to the middle class. That's the only way we're going to win. We're talking about MPAs. MPAs just want their lives to get better. And I believe that I bring that message. I believe my experience in the public sector, the private sector, my military experience, me just being middle class all my life, I understand what it takes in the conversations that need to be had in this district so that we can get people out to vote and we can take Ross Spano out. We can't talk about taking Ross Spano out if we don't have a message of inclusiveness within our community, because we have to get people to show out. It's okay to say that we want Democrats to come, but if we don't have a message for them to come, they're not coming. So I want to thank you guys for allowing me to be here. I want you guys to go out and vote August 18th. I want us to make a change. I want us to take Trump out. I want us to take Ross Spano out, and I want a Democrat to win no matter who it is. Thank you so much.
Great. All right, let's give everybody a hand. They did a terrific job.
Yes, and I want to thank Kristen for doing this and putting it together for us, doing the program. And we have a lot of people that have extra questions. So this is a question for our three candidates. Can we share your emails?
Yep, I'll put mine in the chat.
Awesome.
As I will, Alan@allenforcongress.com. We'll put it in the chat.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. We
I
really
will too.
appreciate you